Happy, happy me when you stop by. I'm John Zidar. I'm the host of On Top and Hot, and this is Wednesday. It is April 5th. Now, we've shared a lot of interesting stocks with you on this show. We're normally looking for hot OTC and penny stocks that have potential to bring us quick gains. But potential comes in a lot of varieties. And this company, they got a ton of potential. This is Cult Food Science Corp, ticker CULTF. They are going to change the way the world eats. No, that's not a motto. That's a statement of fact. This company has a technology that is going to change the way we grow our food. No, I am not talking about fruits and vegetables. And the greatest thing about this is their competition is virtually nil on the public markets. So ticker CULTF, she finished today at a most curious number, 0.0666. And that's all we'll say about that. She finished just under 2.5% gains today. She is on the middle tier of the OTC. We call this the QB, the better tier. It's better because you have to audit your financials to be here. That's better for us. That gives us actual factual numbers coming from a CPA. That makes them more trustworthy, more transparent. They've also got that verified profile and that transfer agent verified. These are great to see. There's a lot of important information being represented by these green ticks, validated behind the scenes. And we've got penny stock exempt. That's very reassuring. This tells me they've been in business for at least 3 to 5 years and had millions of dollars in assets during that entire time period, and they've kept up with their financials. They're reliable. They're responsible. They're not risky. So what does this company do? Take it away, Jack. Whew, there you go. Cult Food Science Corp is an innovative investment platform with an exclusive focus on clean, lab-grown food that is advancing the development of novel technologies to provide a sustainable environment and ethical solution to the global factory farming crisis. The first of its kind in North America, Cult Food Science aims to provide individual investors with unprecedented exposure to the most innovative startup, private or early stage, cultivated meat and cultured dairy companies around the world. Yes, folks, we are talking about lab-grown meat and other things. This is very, very interesting, folks. Now, I realize this can put you off. It's very polarizing. You're either totally for it or you're totally against it. But what we need is education. And because it is such a meaty subject, we do need to dive into it more. So let's do that right now. First thing I want to do is I want to give you a little bit of insight to what lab-grown meat is. Because let's face it, it sounds bizarre, and it's not. It's pretty normal, actually, when you consider the fact that it's the same process we use for beer. And how long has that been around? Exactly. So they tell us here that lab-grown meat can also be referred to as cultivated or cultured meat. And it is real meat. It's just grown directly from the animal cells rather than coming from the animal itself. Why raise a cow for 2 years with everything it needs and then slaughter it to get our meat when there is a better and less cruel way to do it? Now, this isn't as new as you think it is. We actually had a burger come out back in 2013. It cost them $300,000 to create that first burger. 2 years later, they had that price down to $11.36. Not a great price. I mean, I don't want to pay no $11.36 for a burger. But you can see how the price can come down with time and consumer activity. Think about the LCD TV. When it came out, they were $3,000 a piece for the standard size. Now you can buy that humongous one for just a few $100s. So that's what we're looking at. Once the consumer adopts it, the prices start to fall. Now, as I said, this technology has been around a long time, folks. We're just now using it for meat. The process of making cultivated meat is similar to brewing beer. However, instead of growing yeast or bacteria, we grow animal cells. We start by taking a small amount of cells from high-quality livestock animals like a cow, chicken, fish, oyster, whatever, and then figure out which of those cells have the ability to multiply and form delicious meat. From there, we put the cells in a clean and controlled environment and provide them with essential nutrients they need to naturally replicate and mature. In essence, we can recreate the conditions that naturally exist inside an animal's body so that the cells can continue to grow. Once the meat is ready, we harvest it, process it like conventional meat products. We are excited about this new way to produce meat because our cells can continue growing many times over as compared to those in an animal. Now, the first thing you're thinking is, how do we know it's safe though? Well, that's a good question. And the answer to that question is because the FDA approved it. This came out back in November of 2022. Landmark decision enables the sale and human consumption of cultivated meat for the first time in the United States history. The decision by the FDA means that products made from real animal cells grown in bioreactors, instead of requiring the slaughter of live animals, will soon be in the hands of the consumers. Cult Food Science is actively incubating its own cellular agricultural derived branded products and has already made 19 investments into leading edge cellular agricultural companies around the world that are also working to produce products, including cultivated meat, cultured dairy, seafood, chocolate, coffee, and honey, along with other protein types. Imagine this, folks. They are growing honey. We don't need bees to make it. We are making coffee without any beans. There is a lot of possibilities for what we can do here. When problems come on the world, we can solve these problems by growing our own food, overpopulations, disease, drought, whatever the case may be. The first ever FDA approval signals a momentum shift in the United States for cultivated meat and cell-based foods, and Cult eagerly awaits more approvals of this nature. We're also told over here that as of September 2022, according to the FDA, there are no current food products made from cultured animal cells available to buy on the U.S. markets. It is a virgin market, but that's not to say there won't be in the near future. A spokesperson from the FDA says, manufacturers are generally working on scaling up their processes to consistently produce amounts large enough to be competitively priced. And that's the problem here, folks. It is all about that price. The more we buy, the more they'll make, the more the price will come down. There is a lot going on in this sector right now. There's a lot of attention being paid to it because, well, it's a virgin sector. We don't even have a first mover out there yet. No products are on the shelves. And when you think about this, folks, most of the world eats meat. Most of Americans eat meat. How big is that market, especially if you're the first mover? And this company is going to be able to grow that meat consistently. We have no idea what's going to go on in the future, if our supply of meat will be steady or even safe. So this company is on the ball, in the lane where nobody else is right now. But there is a lot of attention being paid to it. We've got investors like Bill Gates, Richard Branson, and Jeff Bezos who have already invested in lab-grown meat companies, even though the market is still at $0. McKinsey just recently published a report. They anticipate that the cellular agricultural market is going to be worth $25 billion by 2030. I think it's going to be bigger than that myself, considering that right now we are at $0. Now, I told you the FDA granted approval for this cellular agriculture. They did it twice, November of 2022 and March of 2023. In 2022, they granted their first safety approval for lab-grown chicken, and in 2023, it granted their second approval for lab-grown chicken. Haven't got to the beef yet, but we're on our way. Now, we are not the only country doing this. Singapore is ahead of us. They've been serving this sort of meat since 2020, even have it in their restaurants. And lots of your meat companies like Tyson Foods, Cargill, and Archer Daniels Midland have all made investments in cellular agricultural companies. And why not? Somebody's got to be a first mover. And you know what? Even being a second or third mover, it's going to be a big enough market that everybody is going to be making money. And this company knows that. They have invested in 19 other companies. Thus far, the company's invested into 19 other cellular agricultural companies. But they're not all growing meat. They're doing lots of things. We have got cultured coffee, seafood, dairy products, chocolate, honey. I mean, lots of things, and we're just getting started. Now, I'm getting this information directly from their website, cultfoodscience.com. This is a list of all their 19 investments, and we're not going to go through them all, but I want to show you a couple of them. This one here, this is their newest investment, Fiction Foods. Fiction Foods is creating a cellular agricultural egg. So first we created the chicken without the egg. Now we're creating the egg without the chicken. So that old question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, it's either a moot point or in this case, the chicken. Another company we got here is Compound Foods. Their specialty is that beanless coffee. Now this is not a coffee substitute. It's not something like coffee. It is coffee. It's everything you expect from coffee. They just don't make it with the bean. We have a seafood company here. This is Perlita Foods. They are creating oysters in abalone. Opalea here, they are creating milk, cow milk. They use mammary cells to do this. And if they want, they can program these cells, get the right ones, and exclude the lactose from the milk. Actually have milk come out that doesn't have the lactose in it. Another company is Mela Bio. They make the honey. They grow it without the use of one bee. And here's a company that I'm glad to see around. This is Gelitech. Gelitech makes an animal-free collagen and gelatin. Now, in case you didn't know this, gummy bears, gelatin candies, all those squishy, smudgy candies, they have for the longest time, forever, been made with horse hoofs. No, I'm not kidding. Look it up. That's what made our candies gummy. Well, we don't have to use horse hoofs anymore. This company's come up with an animal-free collagen and gelatin we can use. And this company, working with CULT, has already come up with a product. They call it Free Candy. These are gummies without horse hoofs in them. They've also got a sparkling coffee beverage as well. So those are a couple products they've got going right now before the meat hits the market. And the last company we'll take a look at, one of my favorites, California Cultured, is creating chocolate to produce a sustainable and ethical source of cocoa. God forbid we run out of cocoa. So they're invested into 19 different companies. And there's well over 100 companies out there. But here's the important question. How many of them are in direct competition with this company on the market? I mean, that's the only place we can do our battle, right, is on the market. So how many other companies are doing what they're doing? Well, believe it or not, and I'm not saying I did due diligence to the bottom of the barrel, but as close as I could come was 3. And I had to stretch it just to get those 3. So that's what I came up with. And the wild thing is, it's not even fair because they're really not the same. They all may be in the cellular agricultural sector, but it's like comparing apples to oranges. Yeah, they're both fruit, but they're not the same. The 3 companies we got are Agronomics, Cult Food, and Stakeholder Foods. But as close as they get, Agronomics invests into cellular agricultural companies. They just hold assets in other companies. They're not actually doing anything. In Stakeholder Foods, they're not growing meat. They're printing 3D meat. That's a whole nother topic. We won't get into that. So what you've got here is a virgin market with only one company that I can find that is on the public markets that is actually working with lab-grown meat. It's already been approved by the FDA. So when is it going to get out there? Soon. The science is complete. We're not trying to get to that point. It's already there. We're trying to make it affordable now and get the market prepared. So we're at the right place at the right time with the only company that is doing this. Now, before I forget, I want to mention one thing that may have escaped you. This company basically is a green company. You're saying, how's that possible? Well, think about it. There is a lot of resources that is dedicated to raising livestock. Land, water, feed, money, time, and then we gotta slaughter them. And you gotta remember, no 2 cows are exactly alike. The quality of meat can vary from one to the other. I mean, think about that. You could have a healthy cow here and a not healthy cow there, but the steaks go out on the market. Worse than that, what about, say, McDonald's? Did you know that there are 100 cows in one burger? Now, I'm not saying all the meat. I'm saying they take 100 cows and mix all that meat together in one vat and then start making hamburgers out of it. So when you're eating one hamburger at McDonald's, you do have the pieces of 100 different cows in your burger. Can they guarantee that all 100 cows are safe, clean, disease-free? Maybe, maybe not. But they can guarantee it with this science. Well, check out some of these figures down here. Rearing livestock comes with a huge environmental impact. Total emissions, we're talking greenhouse gases, from global livestock represents almost 15% of all the greenhouse gases in the world. We're talking about farts, folks. No, I'm not kidding. You always think I'm kidding. Go look it up. There's a whole big science on the farts coming from cows and how they're affecting our ozone. So we can't have too many cows. And cows are actually accounting for 65% of that problem. Then you've got the land and the water. Did you know for every 2.2 pounds of beef, that's a kilogram, it takes approximately 4,000 gallons of water to produce it? I mean, to get to that point, the cow had to drink that much. So that's how much water is being used for every 2.2 pounds of beef, 4,000 gallons of water. While nearly 80% of the world's agricultural land is used for beef production. We're cutting down trees so the cows can walk around and eat grass all day. It really isn't good raising all these cows. It's hurting the atmosphere, it's hurting the earth, and we're hurting the animals. It is inhumane, isn't it? I mean, if there's a better way to do it, a safer way to do it, a more cost-efficient way to do it, and it works, shouldn't we be doing it? Of course we should. Now that we've touched on most of the bases of this company, of course I've left you some DD. Let's go check out some information on the company over at the OTC market. We're going to start this off by looking at the company's relative volume first. So she normally is doing 314,000 shares a day, and today she did one purchase. What do you call 5,000 shares at that price? One purchase. You know, honestly, I would like to say this company is under the radar, and I say that a lot about a lot of companies. But the truth is, she's not under the radar. She's off the radar. No, seriously, think about this. How many competitors does she have? None. Right? So she's the only company in this sector. She is the lab grown meat sector. That's it. And how many people are thinking about that? How many people are looking that up? I mean, literally, it's not in their mind, so it's off the radar. That is, if you're a common investor. People who have money, you know, like Richard Branson and Bill Gates, it's not off their radar because they know it is the future. It's where we have to go with the population getting as big as it is. We're going to have more food, and we're going to have to guarantee that it's clean. We can't get it from anywhere in the world that's not as clean as other areas of the world. So there was a big investor that just came to this company. Right there he is. This is Mark Lustig. He now owns 15% of this company. Now let me tell you a little bit about this man. He has the sense to see into the future. This man came into the cannabis industry before I was into it, just a little bit, but this is back before cannabis was a sector. If you were a cannabis company, all you were was a field. Maybe a tractor. I mean, it was nothing. There was no dispensaries. There were no products. He had a dream in a sector that virtually did not exist, and he built his business called Origin House, which got popular and it got more well known as Canna Royalty Corp. Well, it got so big, it got appealing, and a bigger company, Cresco Labs, huge company in cannabis, came along and bought him out for $1.1 billion. That's what having vision does. And that was 2018. So you're looking at 4 years, 5 years of his investment in time. He made himself $1.1 billion. Now he's here in the meat sector where there is no revenues yet. There's no products on the shelf. I mean, it's just like his barren fields. But he sees the future, and he's got himself a front row seat to this. Jumping back into those financials, we don't have a lot to see here. There's nothing coming in annually, and there's nothing coming in quarterly, which honestly is a bit curious because we know they've got products. We saw the sparkling coffee and the free candy. I just read an article about their honey getting on shelves. So there's products being sold. So I would anticipate to see a financial that's going to show revenues anytime now. But in absence of the revenues, we can jump into a balance sheet to at least get an idea of what's going on here. All right, looking at her cash on hand, she's got $1.6 million. We know that's millions because we've got to add 3 zeros to any of the numbers on this chart. 1.6 million in cash. Total assets right here, we have got 5.1 million. And total liabilities, only 172,000. So 172,000 versus 5.1 million with 1.6 million in cash. They are sitting financially in a strong position right now. Let's take a look at those disclosures. Anything new over here? We have no SEC filings whatsoever. All we have are their financials, which are all caught up. So let's jump on over to that news. Now, the company has a lot of news. They are putting out news regularly. That is to say, 3 to 5 pieces of news every single month. It's not wasted news either. This is news of things they're doing, progress they're making. Now, I haven't gone back that far, but I do want to share some current headlines here with you. This first one, we already read it. This was the FDA approval for the first cultivated meat being acceptable in America, both for consumers and for sale. This was huge news. Then I also mentioned that honey deal that they made. This was with Europe's largest organic food producer. Then at the beginning of the year, they launched their Cult Foods. This was their new products division. This is probably where the meat's going to come from. And then they get some help here at the beginning of March from Lida Ventures. This is to scale the new company out, to get it ready to start doing business. Then I showed you that Mark Lustwig has invested into this company. He now acquires 15% of it. And here just recently, they made another deal with a pet food company called Because Animals. So now they're actually going to be able to grow meats for animal food. You know, instead of just stuff they've been feeding our dogs. We know what they give our dogs. So now they've got that going as well. So we're just at the beginning of a science that has no limits. We're working with coffee. We're working with honey, chocolate, meat, not just one kind of meats, all kinds of meats. And with the world in the condition growing as fast as it is, we're going to need an ample supply of food we can trust. And this company is on the forefront. First mover. Right now, they are in the front race, and they're the only company on the open market. Where else are we going to put our money? Let's go take a look at that chart. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to take a bite out of this chart. This is ticker CULTF, Cult Food Science. And we're going to be doing all of our charting on my free trading platform, TOS. Think or Swim. If you like it, just go and sign up with TD Ameritrade. They'll give it to you for free. So we are looking at a 1-day, 1-year chart. 1 year ago, in April, she was virtually 48 cents. A very quick jump and a very abrupt fall. Came down here to the lowlands, has been down here for a long time. Hit a low in December of 1.3 cents. Here at the beginning of February, she started to push up. Just pushing up, volume got stronger. She just rode that 9-day SMA, had a dip here, but she is holding on to everything. Let's come on down to that 6-month, 4-hour view. We appreciate this one. All right, there's that fall down to that low bubble. She came underneath the 50-day and did not like it there at all. Look at all these bars. She jumped up there very quickly. Took a long time to get to the 200. Once she got there, that excitement came back into the picture. You can see all the volume. This is telling you that investors are watching this. Once she got up over the 200, investors were paying attention. She has been climbing all the way to this tall bounce there and this one here. Now, what's most interesting about these bounces? Look underneath them. Where's the volume? There's no volume. You know what I think? I think one person made these purchases because he likes seeing these spikes on the board. He knows they're his spikes. He bought them. I don't know how many he bought here. It was at 12 cents. If he had bought 5,000 shares, it would have been $40. If he got less, it costs less than that. And he owns that spike. He also increased the value of all his shares, right? He may have pushed the price up and then sold. And he made a lot of other investors happy. Well, all the investors, not the shorters. Boo the shorters. Now the volume has been falling right now and our oscillators are pretty cool. I see we had a big jump, but I'm guessing she came down and has really fallen and done not a whole lot since then. Let's come on down to that 1 hour, 20-day view. Yeah, look at how quick those jumps were. first thing in the morning. This one jumped from 7 cents to almost 14 cents, and this one went from 6.5 to just over 12. So both of them are just about 100% gains, but they were short-lived. This jumped up from the 50 back down to the 50, from one extreme to the other. Whiplash. Came down to the 200-day SMA, bounced off of that. Look at all that eagerness. It doesn't like being that low. Took many days to prove it though, and right now she's back on top of her 200 and her 50. But again, our oscillators are very calm. There's not a whole lot going on here right now. But you can see the 200-day SMA is on an incline. We are not looking at this for a run tomorrow or even next week. I mean, she could, right piece of news comes out. I'm looking at this down the road. I'm looking at this company being a leader in the industry, maybe the leader. Do you remember when Beyond Meat came out? The veggie meat? Not a meat replacement unless you're a vegan. Well, how high did that get? Was it $180 or something like that? Now, that was not real meat. This is real meat. There is a bigger market for real meat. So I think this is going to be hot. And I think the stock is probably, I can't promise anything, but probably going to be well over $100 in the future. That's my opinion. Let's take a look at that 5-day, 5-minute. Not a lot going on. She is just hugging those major SMAs, the 50-day and the 200-day SMA. We got Fred making his big spike purchase there so he can say, I did that. It came all the way back down underneath the 50, and right now she is starting to come back up. The chart doesn't show a whole lot of great potential for runs right now, but everything is pointing up. It's 1-year chart, 6-month, 20-day, 5-minute. All of these charts are climbing right now, and she hasn't really done a whole lot. And wait till the financials come out. We haven't seen that yet, right? So I like this company for a long hold. I think it's at a great price now, under a dime, when I'm believing it's going to be a $100 stock. And she's on her good merited price. She's riding all of her SMAs, showing she's not underbought or overbought. She's at a perfect value right now. But that's my opinion. There's a lot of due diligence you can do about this. Go ahead and do it. Remember, the more you know, the more you're going to grow. See ya.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-dum, ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-dum, ba-da-ba-ba. Dee-da-dee-da-doo-doo-doo, ba-ba-dum, bow. Bum, bum, ba-da-dee-da-doo, bow, bow.